Hey J360 Legion, welcome to another J360 MiniBytes.
Monster Fest. J360 Ready.
Hey, how's it going, J360 Legion? What is happening? Welcome back to J360 Productions for another Monster Fest MiniByte. I am your host, J-Man, of course, and let me just tell you this. We have an update for you all that is happening, and I gotta admit, it's been a wild fall, man. I mean, I don't think I've ever really spent too much time at the old homestead today. I've been out in the field, creating the show whenever I can and stuff like that. I've been busy all over the place. And if I'm not working on the Monster Fest, I'm also working on another mad idea and converting episodes. So I've been doing quite a lot lately, but not enough to make me want to go on a vacation or anything else like that. They'll come when it's time, but right now I'm just having such a good time doing Monster Fest stuff and trying to implement some new things, which even if we had a rough start, we can make a very strong finish. And I'm going to go ahead and show some of those mad ideas I've had this week. Yep, the results and the fruit of my labor will be happening this week. I'll tell you that right now. Of course, here at the Monster Fest at first, I was looking at some bizarre tales, and I got plenty of them for the J-Man show. Which, by the way, I also have a few recommendations. Did you know that Robert Englund actually has another anthology show outside of Freddy's Nightmares? Yeah, it's called True Terror. Definitely check it out sometime. I mentioned to you all that I've been heavy on the anthology films usually around this time because, hey, it's cool to see different things happen to people in movies, but I love it when the multiple story genres show up, and it's just wow, man. Not only do I get to see a set of it, I get to see a lot of people go through hell. And not to mention, just go ahead and have a downside to it all. Or not really a downside, more of a rated G side. I did find the classic movie of The Haunted Tree. And I've also found the Casper the Friendly Ghost collection. I've been just sitting back chilling with all of that lately. And not to mention, I think it would be nice if we actually had a new Casper movie. Not like Spirited Beginning, even though that was okay. I just expected more out of it. Casper Meets Wendy was alright, but I mean the classic 1995 one. That one was really well done, you know what I'm saying? And I wish we'd have got a sequel to that one too. But hey, Universal did a lot of different things with the rights of that. Actually, do they still have the rights of Casper? You know what? Let me see sometimes. Okay. Well, I'll dive into that more on the J-Man show, in addition to a lot of new stories for you all. And then not to mention, as far as on the Power Play circuit, I've just been over here rebuilding that channel too. Still got a few more episodes to upload, but I would go ahead and do a little bit more horror elements with that. I don't see why not, but you'll have to wait and see exactly how that stuff comes into play. And speaking of looking at some obscure things, I actually found some episodes that I had on VHS of Gravedale High, that show with Rick Moranis in it as a cartoon character. It's still funny. The writing was top-notch in that. Of course, you could say that about a lot of shows from the 80s and 90s, but it was just one of them kind of shows that fell between the cracks and it just didn't come back for a second season. I mean, it should have had a second season, though. But I guess once the novelty of Rick Moranis teaching a bunch of nightmarish school children wears off and, they have their little problems, where exactly does it stick out at? You know what I'm saying? I mean, the same thing happened with this other show that was made by Hanna-Barbera at one time where these two earthlings went to a high school. But, it's just like anything anymore. Maybe short and sweet is okay for some things, but then there are other shows that really could use a second season. I think Gravedale High is one of them. Speaking of which, as we're sitting here talking right now, I even took some time to watch some of the George Peele Twilight Zone episodes. I gotta say, that was okay too. There are some things I just didn't care for, but I thought it was very good for its time, and I think it should have got a follow-up as well. you know, my man's out there killing and making movies right now, so, hey, you can only have so much on your plate. I totally get it. But from what he was doing on there, it was actually pretty well done. I didn't mind the Twilight Zone coming back. But I've noticed this, though. A lot of times the classic Twilight Zone series lasts forever. And then you see, like, some of the other series that they tried to make with the Twilight Zone. They either have, like, one season, maybe 2 seasons, and then you never really hear people talk about them again. Like, that one from the 80s was really well done. And, you know, unless you're going around, like, one of the horror outlets and all that stuff, you really don't hear people talk about it as much. But I also see the Outer Limits hanging around there, too. Both series. So, I'm having a field day. Like, I know some of my friends talk about Tubi and stuff like that, but I gotta admit this. It's there for when I'm out and about and I'm on the road and I need it. You know what I mean? And then not to mention, you know, Shudder still kills. Literally. But hey, let's go on ahead and get your schedule out of the way very quick. Okay, so you have the MiniBytes happening right now. Not too many scary things happen about on this one. Because I'm also testing out, like, you know, in case I'm out and about and I can't have, like, my video equipment with me at the time. So, in a way, this is like, you know, you're seeing in case of emergency and you guys still need a show. And let's see, as far as, like, the J-Man show is happening tomorrow. You got a good episode coming up, I'm telling you. I can't dive into it too much, but you got a good one coming up tomorrow. You have, on Friday, J360 Jams 124 is happening. And by the way, I'm still accepting submissions, so if you're willing to send in some tracks for that episode, tomorrow is your last day at 5 p.m. Eastern or 9 p.m. UTC, you know, whichever you want to do, because this episode is really shaping up to be a great one, and you don't want to miss it. And as per usual, all episodes do premiere on J360 TV. Even if it's a radio or audio-based only show, it will be on J360 TV. So I'm just letting you know how this whole thing plays out, guys. Speaking of which, I'd like to thank all of you for being patient with me and your support. I know it's been a really, really wild time. Yeah, but I gotta say this, guys. I did it. All that stuff paid off. It paid off. I made it through there with my high marks and everything. I am good. So that means I can come back here and really whip up some content for you all. And not to mention, like, we're going to go ahead and finish strong. Now, for that being said, though, you're just going to have to stay tuned to see what happens. But I guarantee you're going to love what I got in store for you all. And not to mention, as far as the ratings go, they will be brought to you all by print, at least by Thursday night. And then not to mention, speaking of which, I've done a lot of cool things with Frickenstein over the years. And I gotta say this, you should check out the top 3 things that we did do, which you will be seeing on Ko-fi soon enough. A lot of content is going over there to the Ko-fi page this week. So you do not want to miss it. And as a matter of fact, you won't miss it because plenty of it is going to be public this time. All right. Oh, and a lot of you all that make, you know, music, Jam Fam, if you will. By the way, if you have anything new coming out or whatever that is happening for your discography and all that jazz, let me know about it so I can actually help you. So I'm going to need some press releases, I'm going to need some information about what you all are doing, and then I can go ahead and put that on the Ko-fi page as well. You know what I mean? Since the J360 Productions website is still being worked on, that's what I'm going to need from you all, and that should work out for, like, the Ko-fi page and everything. Okay? Speaking of which, for those of you who are paying for or interested in membership, yes, as far as things are going, it will always be $5 a month, all right? That is never going to change. However, I am working on some newer things regarding that, such as, like, you know, I'm changing it around, and it'll always be ad-free as far as, like, the number one thing for you all, but I want a lot more material to come out for those who are paying. So if you really want to be about all the crux of J360 Productions, you would want to go for membership, okay? That's not stopping. That is still there. And it's a viable option for those of you outside of your donation, which is around the same time. The lowest tier for paying for anything J360 Productions is always going to be $5, okay? I'm going to stick to that. That's the way that's going. If it ever goes up, it might be because of a change of rates or a change of different things, but it'll always be like $5 starting, okay? Because I don't think it's going to get that bad. At least I hope not, because there's a lot of crazy stuff going on over here in the country right now. But all I know is this: that is an option that is available for you all. And then, not to mention, like, I'm really working out things as far as that. So there always is a way that you can help out J360 Productions, help me grow, get where I need to be at. But the number one thing you could always do is, if you're just sticking on the public facing stuff, is to like, comment, and subscribe, and also check with the donation. And you can donate any amount from $5 up to 10, 15, or 20, entirely up to you. There is a spot there that you can actually select how much you want to donate, but the lowest is always $5, okay? I wanted to let everybody know that, because a lot of people were asking me and they were kind of confused, and I was like, well, when you pay for a subscription, that is a monthly fee, and not to mention, you get access to a hell of a lot more of what I got going on and the J360 Productions Vault and all of that kind of good material. And then, not to mention, there's a lot of connections that are happening with some of the other things that I have here for J360 Productions. So you'll just have to stay tuned to see how that all rolls out. And a lot of you have. So I'm very thankful for all that. And I appreciate a lot of y'all, once again, with your patience for me and everything. I was just trying to juggle everything at once. It's nothing I'm not used to, but I'm loving every bit of it. And thank you for participating and staying focused with the Monster Fest. I mean, we have a lot of content and a lot of other things that are here for you to get in the mood for Spooky Mutt and everything. So, it's just been a uphill climb, but we have been doing it. And not to mention, the next 2 episodes that are coming up for the next 2 series, which is usually the J-Man Show and Jams, you're going to be very satisfied. But outside of all that, though, I got to get going. And I want you all to take care of yourselves till we meet again. All right? This is J-Man signing off. Peace.